Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for May 25th, 26th, 2020. How are you doing? Well, last night, we had the moon move into the sign of Cancer, coming out of the Gemini energy. Kind of like, whoo, take a breather from that Gemini new moon. Very potent and powerful energies. It's interesting because Gemini is typically more of a lighter energy. Social, gregarious, wanting to talk and explore ideas. But with that square to Neptune, now Venus has moved to 19 degrees and it's retrograde. So it's 1 degree off of that exact square with Neptune. So it's like, oh, take a breath, right? Whew. And so with the moon in Cancer, it's bringing a sense of peace and calm. And this is an interesting moment because the moon, the solar eclipse that happens at the end or on June, right near the solstice in June, is at 0 degrees Cancer. So we're like a month away from that. And so it's like this is our turning point into that eclipse season. But with the moon in Cancer today and tomorrow, and we've got an exact sextile between Mars in Pisces and Uranus in Taurus. And that beautiful sextile and the moon in Cancer is kind of giving us this sweet pause of energy. It's also Memorial Day in the US, and it's kind of an interesting energy of holiday. Of course, lots of people have gotten unexpected days off, but then when you go back to work and you have a holiday that you can really enjoy and taking off, that's something different. So there's this energy of kind of, maybe we're going to make it through this okay, and hoping for the silver lining, right? Putting our energy into that silver lining of what's gone on here. And so with this sextile, we've got Mars in Pisces, and Mars wants to move forward, wants to understand, Mars doesn't want to stay in the gunk, right? Like Mars is the ruler of Aries, and Aries is like on the table, right? Like you don't have to worry about Aries holding in their emotions. They are going to tell you how they feel. And if they don't tell you, they will show you. And so Mars in Pisces doesn't have a lot of patience for the wallowing in the mud and the confusion, right? Mars wants to get somewhere. But of course, trying to get somewhere in Pisces is often feels like spinning around in circles. The more you try to go, the more confusing it is. The more you go in the eddy and the fish are swimming around each other. And then you've lost complete orientation of where you're trying to get to. And it's the water's all muddy and you can't really tell where you're going. And, but this moon in Cancer, it means it's in trine to the Pisces energy. And so it's like a really sweet harmonizing energy. And then sextiles are very harmonizing as well. It's about creative solutions. So Mars and Pisces is saying, how do we get out of the muck? Like, I don't like being here, right? Let's move, let's do something. And then Uranus in Taurus is like the landing home to the earth realm, to our physical reality, these infusion of higher frequency vibrations, representing higher technology, connection to our higher spiritual awareness, landing home on the earth. It speaks to the embodiment of higher frequency vibrations, which is our spiritual ascension. And also our permission, our feeling of worthiness for that. So that's interesting. So Mars' journey in the circling around in Pisces has a lot to do with like healing places from the past, delusions, ruled by Pisces for sure, that muddy water around where it's kind of interesting because that connects back to the Sagittarius. The next moon lunation we're going to have is a full moon in Sagittarius. This is the first moon of the signs of, after the Gemini, the first Sagittarius energy since the South Node moved into Sagittarius. And the South Node in Sagittarius for these souls is bringing up a whole bunch of energy around where you feel like you failed in your mission. in past lives, and then have disconnected from that mission, even though you know you have it deep inside, but there's this feeling of like, there's something I feel like I need to do here, something bigger for me, and yet not feeling worthy, or like looking for external validation in this world for that deeper purpose, which isn't going to happen, you know. And so it's a frustrating place to be. And then like the more, it's exactly this Mars and Pisces energy in a way. It's like the more you try to get to that truth of, because we live in such a materialistic world. And so it's like, okay, well, when I have my path in front of me and it's clear to me, this is how you do your greater purpose, then I'll know I have one, right? Doesn't work that way. You got to know, and you got to move towards that energy, because it's never going to come into form until you can receive it energetically first, right? Just like everything we want to manifest in our life. So, this Mars and Pisces has an energy of like going back in time and going into those circles, going into the mud, but in order to reveal where our self-worth, deep, deep programming around our self-worth as a spiritual being for these souls, is interfering with our ability to move into this next chapter. And that it all has to do with where we feel like we didn't complete our purpose and our path. And this is where it's like, I can just feel the sensitivity. So it's very, as much as there's a peaceful moment of pause right now, there's also a very like palpable sensitivity with the water energy going on and emotions coming to the surface, but also like a gentle, just it's a time for allowing to let yourself be in that sensitive place and let those emotions come to the surface and let it just move, because there's also this beautiful spiritual energy behind the emotions of getting down to what's real and getting raw and getting feeling like you're alive rather than in trauma mode like we've been in for these last couple of months, right? And so that Mars and Pisces swimming around being like, this is the mud. The mud is where you took it personally, right? Because if you look back at history now, if you look at these past lives from where you are now, it's like, oh, yeah, I was trying to bring the light. I had this great mission. I can sense that I had this spiritual purpose, and then I was targeted, and these souls, you guys are so sensitive and you took it personally, right? But it's like anybody playing that role as a light worker would have been targeted, right? And in fact, can you turn that around? And because if you have been targeted in past lives, you feel that way in this life too, right? It's like you're still playing that out. We're all kind of trying to figure this one out. And it's like, and we are literally being worked against on every level. The closer you get to the expression embodiment of the light that you are, the more the forces are going to attack you, right? That's just kind of scientific fact right now in this reality. And so, but it's like, so, okay, so any light worker would have been attacked. Maybe it's not my personal issue and I don't deserve, God doesn't love me and I don't deserve my path and purpose. And then, but also kind of recognizing that those stories actually, instead of like making you unworthy of continuing on your path, because here you are, right? Here you are, you made it here back again. You came again and again and again, regardless of what happened to you, because you have got that strength of spirit and that devotion to this place and to what you see this evolution is going to become. And so, can you let those experiences validate the power of your light, right? Like the more you went through some shit in your past lives, and this unknown PTSD that these souls are coming into, recognizing this, like, no, there's no palpable origin for this level of trauma sometimes in this life that we know of in our consciousness. And that is actually a validation of how much light you bring and how much power you have. You've just been deliberately disconnected from it, but it's not personal. It's not a personal attack against you. It's just against all of those on the cutting edge, the leading wave, the here to lead the way for ascension, right? And then be like, oh, that means I do have so it's like this inner validation is available right now towards this, your greater path and purpose. And I mean, I have to say, across the board, working with these souls, this is a key and core issue of like, just an emotional place of like, I feel like I'm here for something greater. And even saying it makes them feel Like, it's like everyone around them, you guys have said, "Oh, you're just egotistical. You just think you're better than everybody else. Just go get a job. Like, go, just go be a real person. What's your problem?" Right? And it's like internalizing this rejection that you felt from the earth, but it's like you can't listen. You're here to bring a new energy. You're here to bring a new vibration. You're here to bring a new age. You can't let this manifestation define you anymore, right? Like that's the problem. So this seems to be the astrology right now. Um, and yet there's this sweet and gentle pause. Like I said, it's emotional, but also sweet. And it bring to mind the energy of this Crosby, Stills and Nash song, which I quoted for the title today, this gasping at glimpses of gentle true spirit. And this is kind of an underlying energy on Memorial Day in the US of like all those that have died for our Constitution. And over the last couple of months, it's just gotten kind of thrown out the window, you know? And tuning into that because that was written by David Cosby in reaction to the assassination of Robert Kennedy that happened in 1968. So it's an interesting energy that hasn't been resolved in our culture, and then US leading the way for freedom for the rest of the world right now into true, coming back to that. Can we, resurrect and save this Constitution and what it stands for, and is a culmination of the other constitutions, constitutional law throughout history, and do right by those that have been killed for this cause over the last, 50, 100 years, right? So it's just an interesting moment of pause, reflection, just as we, with gentle energy and not any dramatic transits right now. I mean, Venus is still in that square with Neptune, but not exact. And she's moving her own way now back through Gemini. And so we don't have any big, besides that, squares or oppositions. And so we have this sweet sextile, Mars trying to help us move into this new age by releasing the grief from the past in a very deliberate way and putting our energy on that silver lining that the truth is, it can be held back for only so long, and we are heading that way. And this kind of allowing a holiday after all of this trauma, and allowing that moment of rest and hoping for something, for putting that energy on that silver lining, with this moon in Cancer and Mars and sextile to Uranus, and kind of like, okay. And the moon in Cancer, like I said, we're just about to move into eclipse season. We're on the journey there, and right now for these next couple of days we're having this kind of like sigh, and a pause, a reflection, a release, and coming back to that deeper peace, that and truth that's available underneath all of the stories that are just so intensely playing out in our world right now. um, and when you're in trauma, like we've been triggered for the last couple of months, you just kind of hold on through it, right? And now it's like, okay, maybe it's not as bad as we thought, but it's definitely on some levels worse than we thought with the attack on our liberties. And so it's just kind of like, okay, just reorient, just find that place of center, find that glimpse of gentle true spirit that has been, I mean, that's kind of the energy, the essence of these souls. And why you've taken it so personally is because this is what you kind of have, this like oversensitivity, which I know has been a problem. It's like what's wrong about you, but it's also what's right about you. It's as we evolve spiritually, in our consciousness, you get more and more sensitive. That's just what happens, right? So it makes sense that as a sensitive soul coming here with this deep desire and devotion to the earth and bringing your light and bringing your healing, and being like, yes, let's do this. And then humanity's like, what are you doing here? We don't want you, because who you are in that healing energy, in that light, that sensitivity, that purity of soul is making us look bad, It's bringing up us, our dirt, our shadow, and then you got blamed for that, team scapegoat, right? And then you just took it very personally, and then you got trapped, right? Then you got trapped in the lower play of the karma, because that's the moment when these souls disconnected from God, like source, or like, oh, I've done something wrong. I didn't do it right. I failed in my mission. So all of these things are like swirling around together right now. And maybe that's so on the table because we are heading into the Sagittarius full moon, the first Sagittarius energy since that South Node moved over to Sag. So stay tuned. Here we are, turning the corner into the next big chapter, eclipse season 2020. June 2020. And I did do a video about this. It really rambled on for a whole hour, but I did not mention that I am doing, for the solstices and equinoxes over the last few years, I've been doing soul group sessions. And this is a group intuitive session where we go more in depth in the activations. We go into past life stories. We go into clearings, contract clearing, soul retrieval type stuff. And so if you sign up, there's two. There's one for the lunar eclipse at the Sagittarius full moon, and then there's one for the solstice. The solstice and the solar eclipse happen very close together. So I'm just doing one to represent both of those events. But if you sign up for the lunar eclipse that's June 5th, then I'll send you a coupon for half off of the other one. It'd be great to have a cohesive group coming together for those soul group sessions. So I hope you'll consider joining those, and I will make sure to put the information to sign up for those below. Just sign up for the first one, and then I will send you a coupon for the second one. So thank you so much for being a part of the journey and being who you are and being in the light and being that example, even though you've gotten, everything you've gone through, but still you represent this gentle, true spirit that brings the hope to this world. So be in that place, be in that silver lining, be in the solution of all of it that you are and you always were. And a great remembering available for us now in this gentle pause. So thanks so much for being here. And I look forward to seeing you soon tomorrow in the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.